You're listening to The Artist Athlete, episode 102. This podcast is dedicated to circus. It's a place for professionals in the industry to share their stories, viewpoints, and information, and a place for outsiders to get a sneak peek into this world. Hey friends, fans, and foes. I'm Shannon McKenna. I'm the host of the Artist Athlete podcast and the founder of theartistathlete.com. This episode of the podcast, just like pretty much every episode of the podcast, is sponsored by you all through Patreon. No, I'm not sponsored by the company Patreon, though I think Patreon might be one of the only companies I would take a sponsorship from. But Patreon allows people like you to give small amounts of money to creators like me every month to make the thing. And the Artist Athlete podcast is the thing I want to make, and I want to thank every single person who supports me on Patreon. If you want to be one of those people, go to www.patreon.com/theartistathlete and sign up. You can give as little as $3 a month, and every cent goes into making this podcast fabulous. And if you give at the $30 level, I call you up and we have a little conversation. Recently, I was lucky enough to catch up with Maria and her sons, Woody and Noah. I actually messed up the date the first few times we tried to get on this call, and apparently Woody and Noah were very disappointed about this because they did not believe their mother when she told them that they would be speaking to the girl from the Artist Athlete podcast. So when you hear the part where the little boy goes, "Did she show up?" That's what he's asking, because I did not show up the first time. But I showed up for this one. Here is what it sounded like.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Did you show up?
Awesome. I showed up.
Yes, that's my kids.
Oh, hi.
We're really excited.
What are your kids' names?
Noah and Woody.
Hi, Noah and Woody. Out there.
Hi.
Thank you for being a Patreon. Like, what inspired you to do it? How long have you been listening? What's your deal?
I've been listening for a year now, I think.
Yay.
And I wanted to do it for a while. It just finally came that I was able to do it. We usually listen to you during road trips. We actually had to move during the pandemic, and you were on for maybe a good chunk of time. Yeah, because we actually moved from the West Coast to the East Coast, and we had to drive 33 hours, and I was driving with the boys, and you were on.
No way. That's crazy. Okay, this is why that's crazy to me, because I have done that drive. I drove once from San Francisco to Atlanta, and I remember, like, I had podcasts that I listened to, like, the whole way. And so the idea that, like, I was a podcast that someone listened to the whole way is so cool.
No, I really like what you're doing, especially because hopefully somebody will hear it and be inspired. That's why I wanted to become a patron, and it just worked out.
All right, Noah and Woody, are you there?
Yes.
Are you listening? Okay, so this is how it's going to go, okay? You're going to have lines. It's going to be like, Noah's going to be like, "Hey, I'm Noah, and I do hand balancing." And then Woody will say, "Hey, I'm Woody, and I do Lyra." And then you guys can say, "Thanks for listening to the Artist Athlete podcast." You got that?
Yeah.
You want to practice it once?
No. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's practice it once. And if it goes really good, then it'll be like the real thing. Okay, so I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then Noah's going to start. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, my name is Noah, and I do hand balancing. Hi, my name is Woody, and I do Leo. Thank you for listening to the Artist Athlete podcast.
My guest today is Marion Crampe. Marion has been floating around the world for several years already, sharing her art and knowledge as a performer and as a teacher for pole, flexibility, and movement. They say her classes are uplifting, empowering, and make people feel comfortable and confident in their own skin. She's a firm believer that everyone is different. Everyone tells a different story. She embraces this in her classes and the energy shared through her own movement. Not only is she very dedicated to teaching and performing, but modeling for photographers and artists like painters, sculptors, and musicians. She's a strong businesswoman creating and leading projects, dedicating her time to consistently evolving as an artist, instructor, and human. She also cultivates a deep interest and enthusiasm for the art of others and to connect people. Here's my interview with Marion Crampe. Okay, then I just hit start recording, and I always start by saying, Marion Crampe, welcome to the Artist Athlete Podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm super happy.
Yay!
Hi.
Yes. So for the people who don't know, I don't know who doesn't know you, but can you explain who you are and what you do?
So, well, it's like where to start. So who I am, I'm a 37 years old woman. I'm born in France, but to be honest, I feel from many other places in the world. I'm like traveling the world. I used to travel the world because right now it's a bit different. Like sharing my passion and my knowledge and all I love, which is pole dancing, especially flexibility, movement, connectivity, all those things. I also perform like in different places like circus, variety show. Of course, a lot in the pole dancing scene because this is my first ongoing things that I discover and that I enter in this fabulous world of being an artist. I mean, like as a job. And I think like I'm also an evolving soul trying to get better every day. So I'm working on myself and I'm very passionate about art, about life, about people. And and also of course like dealing with everything that's happening around us all the time.
Yeah.
This is a petit résumé, and I'm also a proud, very blessed wifey of an amazing man, because this is important also in my journey, I think.
Amazing. I want to start at the beginning of your journey. Were you always a dancer and artist? Did you grow up in that world?
Well, like my parents, so I'm from the south of France and a small, tiny city. My mom and my dad really like they're sports people. Like my dad spent even now all his life on the top of the mountains, and Mama was also super sporty. She was dancing, but I really love dancing, and I see myself in my little niece, but I was not, and exactly like her, I was a bit like clumsy. You like, okay, she really liked to dance, but maybe, some little girls at 5, they're like killing it. I wasn't, okay? But I really like it. I keep like, I was always dancing. I even wrote on like my little journal, like, I will show them that I will do something with that, however they think about it. And I just kept trying, but I was not like, I took some ballet classes, I took some jazz, but like any girl or boy or like anyone that liked to take dance classes. I cannot say I was a professional dancer or I was like at the top like schools to learn how to be a professional dancer. No, I just love to dance. So I was familiar with movement, but I was not that good. And then even when I went to after university, I graduated master on sports, sports for disabled people, any kind of disabilities. And even there, they were like, I remember in this like active physical things, my teacher were always like, I was not the best, to be realistic. Like I know it's not just to be like, oh yeah, I come. No, it was just the fact. I couldn't do a pull-up. Even my teacher now, when they see what I'm doing, they're like, how the hell it's possible? Because you were not that athletic. And I was like, well, what I had from the very beginning, as far as I can remember, very, very young, I believe. And I worked and I still working so hard to make those believe come true and prove, first of all, myself it's possible. And discipline is definitely a muse for me. Yeah.
You know, I was thinking a lot, and I've been thinking a lot lately about like the difference between like motivation and discipline. You know, like motivation, I feel like is like, it's like inspiration, like it can come in fits and spurts, and one day you feel very motivated. But discipline, I feel like, is truly something to be cultivated, because when you have discipline, that means you can be consistent. I'm curious to hear, like, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, finish. You're curious too?
Oh, I was just curious to know, like, how you say that you value discipline. How do you cultivate discipline?
Yeah. So I was actually going to answer that, because I always like to say, because there is a ballet dancer, Marie Agnès Gillot. She's a prima ballerina from France, and she say something that it's for me a mantra, and I cannot more agree with her. Discipline is the base of my freedom, not the opposite. So, because I know for many people, when you say the word discipline, they see it as a jail. And don't take me wrong, it can be a jail very fast. So what I say, I have discipline, but it's supple and it's flexible. So it gives me a structure to be like grounded. And then when I have my structure, I can put some like diamonds and things that sparkle the whole thing, but the structure is there, so it gives me consistent. And consistency, I think, is something that I need, but I know some people they don't work this way. For example, my husband is a very talented athlete also, an artist, but he's not consistent. So he jumped from one, like he just like a few years ago, he said, okay, I want to go to do an Ironman. He trained like a maniac for 3 months, and he qualified for Kona, for the World Championship. The first time, everybody was like, how possible? Because there's so many people, they fight for years to go to Kona. And he did it the first time. When he went to get his spot for Kona, the guy asked him, how many Ironman did you do? And he's like, only one. Actually, it's my first triathlon race. I can tell you, I didn't know if they want to like throw him some rocks, some stones, because they were like, what? Or cheer for him. But he went to Kona, and then after this, everybody's like, oh, what is your next race? No, he's done. He's going to do something else. Now he's full gas on mountain bikes. So now he's like going on the mountain every day. And he jumped from, but he's good when doing like this, even not consistent, he's still killing it when he does it. And it works for him. For me, I need this consistency in my life. It just make me balance, and it give me keep on track with my motivation. And I never really suffered about motivation, a lack of motivation. I have sometimes some days where I'm less motivated to do something, then I do something else. I never do pole dancing every day. I don't do flexibility every day. Or I like to run. I like to read. I like to do nothing. I think you have to really, like, if you have the possibility to do this, to really listen what you really want to do, you know, because I feel sometimes, I know I have a lot of friends that are pro cyclists, and they have to train every day, because this is the way, it's very like kind of old school way to train. And you have to bike all the time. And sometimes they just ride because they have to. And I think like having like, especially for performers, and that they have a bit more freedom in the way they train to do like other things around it. It's so important. I think it's so important, and it gives you like, yeah, the inspiration to keep on going back. I know when I don't do pole for a couple of time, then I'm so excited to go back, it keeps the flame always super, like, yeah, I don't, it's very me, it's very personal, but I never really like, yeah, I think my discipline helped me to structure, and then the rest is a balance of flexibility in what I do. Yeah.
I love that. I love this quote, discipline is the base of my freedom.
It's
That's really...
it's a very, very cool quote. Yes. And I really, really resonate to this, because sometimes I think people are, from what I hear, is what I hear from people that I know. And because if you don't have a structure, you don't really know where to go. So you do a bit of this, a bit of that, and you feel you're going nowhere at the same time. So having a petite structure, I like to write things. I have a lot of notebooks, because it's giving me the line. It doesn't mean you have to stay in that line, but you know, every time you're a bit lost, you come back to the line. Okay, and then I can go again.
So I'm thinking at 25, the world of aerial arts and pole dancing is so new, it feels, and was not probably so popular, 13 years ago when you started. How did you find pole dancing? How did that become your thing? I'm sure you get this question a lot. I'm sorry, I know it's boring.
No, actually,
I feel like you have a good story.
Yeah, but it's actually not boring, and I think it's always like, and I think also the way I'm telling the story every year, every week, it evolves, because everything evolves, and me, like, also, so in my story, in the way I see it, and I reflect now, and I like taking a little step back, 13 years back. It's a big step when now you think about it. So I was like, as I told you, I was super passionate about like dancing. And I after we graduated the university, I went to the fitness world. So I graduated as a fitness trainer, and I went to Paris because of a boy at that time that is still a very good friend of mine. We met not a long time ago, after 10 years. It was very cool. And in Paris, I was like a bit like I tried to search in the scene of dancing and so on. And I met a friend of mine, and she told me, look, there is this class in Paris. They teach you how to use the pole like the strippers, because it was in a strip club. It was called Pink Paradise at that time. And she said, yeah, we should go, we should try. And I always been fascinated by the scene of, the nightlife, and like all those clubs where in the south of France, it was like not many and not that glamorous and all those things. So I was like, of course, let's go for it. And at that time, the teacher that was teaching there was my friend, that now she's a very good friend of mine, Laurence. And she was teaching there, and I started the class with her, and I was like, I entered this club, was so glamorous, like pink and full of like shining things everywhere. I was like, wow, this is something that I've never seen before. And I started to do this class of pole. I was like struggling big time, because if you ever tried pole, Shannon?
Yes, I've tried pole a couple of times. Yeah, it's really hard.
Yes, it's really hard.
And I'm a circus artist.
Yeah.
It's really different.
A lot of circus artists tell me, oh my God, this is the hardest. I'm like, okay, well, I would say that from the hoop, I was like, everybody has their own thing. And I think any kind of discipline is hard. But, even if it was hard, I was like, this is it. This is my thing. I can like exercise, like challenge myself to be in a very tiny clothes in front of everybody, and I don't care, and nobody cares. There is such a cool group of human that like the same thing, seems to like the same thing, and I don't know. I want to keep. I felt like, you know, even if it was like absolutely new to me, I was like, wow, this is something. This is something. I don't know what it's gonna be, if it's gonna change the game, but this is something. And it was the game. It changed my life, and it changed the life of so many people around the world, like real big time.
Yeah, pole especially, I feel like, in this very interesting way. I always wonder or think about it. Is it a circus art? Is it its own thing? What is it? But it does have this kind of special resonance for the people who do it in the community. It's such a, it's a really
very
powerful
special.
one.
You know, it's very special in many level and in very different level. For some people, it's going to be a physical activity. For others, it's going to be a way to express themselves. For others, to heal. For others, to just like feel the fears they never felt before. For others, they're going to, the community, of course, there is drama like in every community in the planet. Welcome to humans. But it's still an amazing, like most of my friends, my best friends are pole dancer. And I met amazing, smart people, because many of us, we had a life before. We didn't start like, you know, it's interesting because every time I take part of some show, like in the circus industry, people are like, from which school, which circus school you did? Pole dancing. I didn't do any school, and we start very late. Like so many of my friends, they were dentists, lawyers, journalists, chemical engineer. They work in the past, like a pastry, and they just quit everything to become a professional pole dancer, to own a studio, to be a pole teacher. It changed completely, and this is very few activity. People watch soccer, but they don't quit their life and change all for soccer. You know what I mean? And it can the switch can happen at 40, 50, 25, but most of the like the first, second, third generation, we start late. But still, we all have career. We travel the world. And I know, for example, I'm very honored also to be, to be interviewed by you and take part of this podcast, because it's a bit bringing a bit of the pole dancing in the like circus industry. And it's very beautiful, and I'm very honored to share about it, because, you know, for I think many circus people and dance people, they don't really know where to classify pole dancing. Are there performers? Are there like circus performers? Are there dancers? Are they just pole dancers? You know, I think whatever you want to think, you're free to think whatever. But the truth is, we are represented in many things, in strip clubs, in TV, in theaters, in like in therapeutic things. Like, I think it's like you can find pole dancing everywhere. And, you know, right now with the COVID and with a little bit the lockdown everywhere, many circus performer bought a pole. Because you can have a pole at home. You cannot, if you don't have this high ceiling and a point of hanging, you cannot have a hoop, you cannot have a silk, but you can have a pole. So you can still train. And I'm teaching myself online, and I connect with so many circus performers that they like, and then now they're hooked to pole. I see them more on the pole than anything. And it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. They're like, Marion, I'm going to do my live, performance online, my first pole dance performance. And it's amazing. And they like, oh my God. And I see them taking workshops with people from the pole industry. And I'm like, yes, that's super cool. It's super cool because, and they really talk about the community. And many people actually in the circus industry have told me often, you know, you guys, this pole dancing, you're so full on the social media. And at the beginning, they were kind of like, they don't know if they're intrigued or they think it's weird but then slowly they kind of feel like, damn, but still we can feel the support. For example, people when they, you know, there is these things about reproducing, copying, whatever, that it goes around also in the dance circus industry. In pole dancing is completely like, I put my combo out there, and if you do it, I'm super happy. It's not about like, there is no like, this is mine, this is my thing. It's very different, and I respect this. I understand like when you build like a combination or like combo and everything. But in the pole is a bit different. It's a lot about like, okay, this is what I offer, and it contribute to kind of serve, because we're also very much in the teaching scene and sharing the knowledge and like instructors and stuff. So it helps also to promote you as an instructor and to share with your peers about what you discover as a move, the other try the move, find new way to do it. It's, I don't know, it's just very special, within the community, the way we interact with each other.
It really is. And the times that I've been hired by pole studios or whatever to come in for, you know, a month, a week and teach tissue or teach aerials in, I'm always like, wow, you guys are exactly like so chill about sharing, especially.
Totally.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna get some blowback for this, but that's something that the aerial community could really learn from.
Well, you know, but yes, and also I understand, you know, when you have spent years and years to build, and also because this is very important for me, and today I was actually posting on my social media about this. There is a difference between inspiration and reproduction. So I think reproducing something, copy something for your personal practice, I do it too. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, these tricks that my friend has done or somebody, I would love to try to see if I can do it. There is a difference then about going on stage with the same act.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
very
different.
true.
This is very different. So if you use it for your personal training to improve your skills and everything, that's what I always try to say this to people. And I have this quote about inspiration is taking an impulse from something or someone to create your way, your own way. It's like just a little flame, and then after you have to create your way. Because if you just making the same, even at the same breath that the person gonna take, this is reproducing. It's not inspired. And for example, because I have a friend of mine, she has created a jewelry brand since many years, and another person that is going to graduate in few weeks even has contacted her to say, you inspire me so much, as reproduce exactly her work. This is copy. And when she's selling products with the same exactly thing, this is wrong.
Yes.
But if it's like, for example, my students, they try to do my move and they find a way to explore and to discover skills and everything. This is very something different for me. And I think reproducing is not bad. It's just like the way you're gonna use it at the end of the day. If it's for your personal improvement and everything, this is one thing. And if you're gonna like go on stage with an act that is, we have seen that happening exactly the same, you're like, okay, my friend, I will like, are you okay with doing this? Because this is not cool. This is not just cool.
For sure.
When it comes to the taking the the work out of the month of somebody else. This is very different. But when I come and teach, when I teach a class and I'm giving that to people, I cannot say, okay, I'm giving you that, but I take it back at the end of the class. No, it's yours. Then your own journey to do whatever you want with it. And I always say to people, please put your salsa. This is what I do. I'm also taking classes. I'm taking flexibility classes with many people around the world. I'm taking dance classes. And to be honest, I take everything I collect. The way I created my own knowledge and my own salsa is because I took ingredients a bit everywhere. And then there is stuff that worked for me, the other not. And then I do my own mixture. That's why I always say when I'm teaching, I'm like a supermarket, but not a like I don't know, Costco or working. Like I try to be a good as much as I can, but I'm not. But what I say in class, we're not cooking in the supermarket. Okay, maybe at Whole Food the food is cooked already. You take the ingredient, you go home, and then you do your own cooking. But I deliver you the ingredients. So if you don't bring me the best cake today, that's not the goal. Today, you grab the things, you took the recipe, not for the recipe, and then you go home and make your work. And also for this...
Yeah,
no, go for it.
That's such a fabulous metaphor. No, I love that because I always feel a bit bad for people who reproduce because it's not a sustainable, kind of what you're saying. It's not really a sustainable way to be an artist, to just copy everyone all the time. You will only be able to copy. Do you know?
Well, yes, but because, yes, I understand this, but also I put myself in the pants, and because I have been there. When you are at the beginning of your journey, or some people, like I was actually talking about that with my friend that had this copycat this morning. It's also because some people, they just don't have this ability. When you find your style, like parenthesis, it's very something, a tool, amazing thing. Because for some people, it's kind of like they can search for their whole life. They don't have this flame. They try so hard. They really try too hard. So reproducing, it's kind of a way to still do something. And I don't think reproducing is wrong. It's just like the finality of how you're going to use then after your thing. If you make a business out of this, then ask yourself the right question, because we know everything is seen. And I know you have made a podcast not a long time ago with my friend Yamel about that. And so it's just like, it's a very small world. And if you go if you go on stage, or if you, I don't know, if I teach the exact technique of somebody else, people knows, and even the students, even the people that they watch the show, they know. I don't know. It's something I believe in, energies and karma. So people know, But I have been in this place at the beginning. I was like, I was looking after everybody and try to. I didn't know. I didn't. It was inside me, but how exactly I want to be expressing myself out there. And it takes time. I think it's just been few years that I really, I don't know for you, Shannon, but I think it's like few years that I feel, because I'm working on myself as a human, as a woman, as who I really want to be, that I also can express myself through my art the way I really want to be. But it takes time, and it's like, and if you don't do the work on yourself, I think it can be tricky. So reproducing is a kind of way to start. But if you do this for 25 years, that's a long time.
I don't I don't know how you could. Yeah. No, I think for me, it's very much even like I even get, I'm the opposite. I could never reproduce. I get bored. Even my own work, like I feel like I'm always evolving and what I'm making changes so much that my own
Mm-hmm.
personal style, my own salsa, it has a different flavor to it almost every year because I'm always interested in new things, moving in new ways, trying new skills, working with new
Mm-hmm.
coaches. So I'm very much always evolving. I'm a bit like your husband. I'm a bit ADD. So
Okay.
I
Yeah, but sometimes I have to stop him. Like yesterday, he was like, before going to bed, come out of the shower. I have another idea. I'm like, oh la la. I'm like, but the problem is for him, for example, because he paints also, and the other day he wrote because we have a warehouse where we practice and paint and so on, and he wrote on the wall because we are allowed to paint on the wall and everything. He wrote, I'm in war with my time, because he has so many things coming in his brain that is a bit, in French we say un bordel, like it's like too much. There is too much happening. And so he doesn't know when to do things. And yeah, it's beautiful, but it's also like exhausting. He's exhausted.
It is exhausting and it's a bit sad to me. Like I have to mourn. I remember when I was a little girl, I loved to read, right? And I realized one day that I would never read every book in the world. Like I was just like, and it made me really sad.
It's beautiful.
And I had to kind of like grieve the idea that like, and I feel that way about ideas sometimes where I'll have an idea and I'll be like, well, I'll write it down and see if it goes somewhere, but I can't, like, and sometimes you surprise yourself where you write down an idea and then 2 years later you're doing it and you're like, I didn't think that this would be part of my life. I just had to like say goodbye to it. But kind of like you talked about the man who you went to Paris with, and then 10 years later you meet him again and you're just like, oh, okay, you're coming back. But I don't feel like I have much control over my ideas. Except for to give them attention,
Yeah.
Or not.
And I think it's very interesting, and I feel I have a bit of this too. It's also part, but for example, what is very different I come often to this point when I'm hired by circus company, and shows. They're like, can you send me a video of your act? In pole dancing, we are not used to do, because at the beginning and still now, the way we could like go on stage was pole event watched by pole people. Now it's a bit more open, and we have TV and shows and theater. But at the beginning was only seen by a pole audience, so you couldn't bring the same act twice. Otherwise, people were like, kind of like, she's doing again the same thing. So I it came naturally that we are bringing a new act all the time. And I think I just like evolved like this. So when I heard, like, I have friends, do Aragorn, they're retired now in the circus. They performed the same act for almost 40 years. The same exact act, maybe they transform a tiny bit the costume, but the same act. And they're super happy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make like if they're not happy or not, but it's just so different. So in the pole, we have to, if I'm sure you know some pole dancer, we always researching for new combo, new ta-ta-ta. We're not like, it doesn't mean we don't, because I know, like, for circus performer, like some of the act are so risky that you cannot kind of change the combo, because it has to work that way, because otherwise you risk your life. And it takes so many years to master that trick that you keep it forever when you have it. And this, I understand totally. Maybe in aerial stuff like hoop, pole, silk, maybe there is maybe I don't say that it's not dangerous, but you can like find ways to be less dangerous than some acts that I have seen in my life where you're like, okay, if I master this, I keep it forever.
Yes.
That's the thing. I'm not going to change.
Absolutely.
But for me, it's like, I love music. So I love to change music. I love to feel and energy. I know you can have the same music and perform it every different way. It would be an interesting topic actually to talk about that with somebody that perform forever the same act. I would really love to hear like how it feels.
I have an interview that's I love this so much. Actually, I'm just going to tell you. So I have an interview with someone, John Gilkey, who was the clown on Kidam for years and years and years. And I asked him, and he told me that actually after a time, his job was to figure out how to do the same thing differently. Like he stopped feeling like his job was to actually do the acts or, do his job. And like his job became, how do I bring that same freshness to it? And he had a lot of ways to do this. He would pay attention to the weather, and depending on if it was raining or sunny, he would change his character, like his thoughts ever so slightly. But I do think that it's a very much it's a mindful game at some point where you know, like it is.
Yeah, and there is no right or wrong, like I don't know.
No, of course.
For me, it's like I think it's super fascinating. I was talking to those people that have done the same act, and the way they talk about it, the passion is there, like full gas, the same time as the first time. But it's just like, depending.
And they would say it's never the same. The hand balancers I know who talk about this are like, every handstand I do is completely different.
Completely. It's just like the same music and the same costume, but it doesn't. I think it comes from within, and you can be in the same place at the same, but it would never be it's unique. You cannot reproduce. Maybe the problem is sometimes the expectation you put on that thing. That's why I jump on another topic, but it's very related. I created like 2 years ago a human experience. I like to call this, because I don't like to call it a retreat or camp or whatever. So with David, with my husband, because I think it's a human experience, and like we use movement, pole, whatever you want as a medium, I think. And it's an experience. When you come to it, it's only 12 people that we have done already twice, and you can never repeat that experience. So when you came once, you cannot come back, because I wanted to keep, I call it unique, and I wanted to keep it unique. So when you have experienced once, you stay and cherish the memory of this experience. Because sometimes I remember I have seen shows like, you saw Sleep No More, this show in New York?
Yes.
So I've been to Sleep No More, and I promised myself.
For those of you who don't know Sleep No More, it's an experiential show in New York City, and it's based on Macbeth, right? The
exactly.
Shakespeare show. And so you go in different rooms, and different actors are doing different scenes, but you kind of create the experience for yourself. So in theory, no two audience members see the same show.
Absolutely not.
That's just to explain. Anyway, continue.
And I think that's it. We will not say more, because every time I talk to people about the show, I say this, and I say, voila, then you have to go.
Yeah, you have to see it for yourself, because it's not the same. And so this is what you're trying to do with your experience, retreat, camp,
and I mean,
learning.
I went to Sleep No More. Yeah, exactly. I went to Sleep No More, and I promised myself I will never go again. Not because I don't want to see the show again. It was amazing. But because I have lived an experience so unique, so mine, And I think if I had to go, I was going again. I didn't know where I was going. Because, you enter this elevator, and then you're like, what the heck is happening? And you don't know where you're going. That I felt like, dang, if I go again, I know. And I'm going to expect something, or go to to follow my own story, but not lead by adrenaline, surprise, and
Mm-hmm.
no coming from no expectation. And this is what it's very cool about this experience, and the fact to have no expectation about what is coming next. And I think it's the same even when you perform the same act all the time. It can happen, like, you don't know the audience, you don't know if that day maybe your apparatus is more slippery, like, I don't know, you feel not okay that day, you feel shit actually, so you don't, like, you cannot perform the same. And sometimes the day you feel shit, you do the best performance of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So trying to go and to do things with the least expectation. Of course, you want to be like perfect in what you do and everything, but about the upgoing.
Yeah, you want to be.
This.
You want to have preparation, but not expectation.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, it's a good way to say. Mm-hmm.
We could say.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize in pole dancing, because I want to ask you about competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Because coming from an aerial world, coming from a circus world where it's very much about like you create your act, and it's a little different now because circus artists, I feel like, have to be so flexible and so broad in their offerings.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I think a lot of people have like a signature act, or they have a thing they do, they have a trick, they have a style, they have something that they sell, and they kind of do it for their lives, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess coming from that, it's really hard to feel like I would want to compete with that, you know, or be judged against other people. But maybe you can tell me how you think about pole dancing competitions, because I think that's another really different thing about the communities or worlds. You know?
Yes. So the thing is, I think it's just an assumption. Pole dancing competition came up at the beginning because it was no other way to go on stage. And like, it starts the very, very famous one, where the one in Australia, Miss Pole Dance Australia, and actually you probably heard about Phyllis Kane, which is like one muse for all of us. And so I think at the beginning we were going to compete. I don't really like competition, but it was a way to go on stage and to put a costume, because we were not that at that time kind of accepted in the circus industry or any kind of dance industry or whatever. So it was a way to go on stage. It was there or in the clubs, but it was not so many options at that time.
But why did it have to be a competition?
I don't know. Honestly, I didn't ask myself, but because I think also because maybe when it was done like this, the judges were coming. It was people like for example Felix, or people known at this time in the industry, and it was bringing also audience. Because if it was just a pole show, it was hard to move the audience. But when it start to be like you have to cheer for your favorite one and then maybe it makes people move the boom boom and come and it was also organized workshops around it. So competition were always followed by a weekend of workshops, and we have traveled the world with those competitions, like literally.
Yeah, truly.
Literally. And now how it's, of course, these competition things have evolved. What you were saying about, we have the signature and the tricks that you're doing and stuff like this. So in pole dancing, for instance, it's a bit more like, the more like versatile you are, it's cool because it's nice to try everything. But some people are more good on static pole, some others on speeding, some more on flexibility things, some more on dynamic, more on exotic dance, like stripper style, whatever, like you like as a style, contemporary. There is very different way to practice, and it makes kind of your specificity in the thing, and you kind of decide a bit what you want. But you can be anything. You can be like somebody that like to dance with heels and be amazing contemporary performer. And sometimes they do, like I have seen competition where you see the same athletes in different category, in comedy or artistic or like classic, that they call classic, or like with heels. So I think it has changed definitely, because now we have this pole sport thingy where people are absolutely like gymnasts on the pole, and the rules are very much as a gymnastic rules.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I think, you know, why also maybe that's thinking and talking with you about it. I think also it was a way to give like consentment to the fact you are pole dancing. So if you're a circus performer, it's beautiful, it's circus, it's dreamy, it's Cirque du Soleil, everybody knows these things.
Way.
But when you say you are a pole dancer, of course, people have
they
whatever
think you're
opinion.
A stripper,
No,
which is fine,
and
with
which
me.
is true.
But
no, it doesn't mean you're a stripper. But we come from, like, I am a very, very loud, and I stand for this. Yes, we come from strippers, and if you are on the pole, it's because of a stripper before.
Yes.
And still now. So hello out there, if you listen to me. Yeah. But it's just, I think for many, it kind of give like, I don't know how you can call this, but making competition was making the thing more like politically correct, let's say.
Yeah, more like mainstream, like acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're both in the agreement that that shouldn't be that way, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. I just say that because this is the way, but I'm absolutely like, come on,
no.
Evolve. You know,
That's
like people. Yeah, it's just like. It's just like, and right now it's very like even biggest topic, because with social media trying to be really, they're not trying, they are really hard on the sex works industry, and I see a lot of separation between generation of pole dancer or like style of pole dancer. I don't understand. I'm like, first of all, for what? Like, you think it's gonna give more credit to what you're doing? No. And then also because it's like missing a part of the history, like erasing a part of the history, and this is not okay. It would be the same if you forget about the pioneer of circus, and you're like, no, they didn't exist. No, we created. Fabulous. You know.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it's another topic, and it's like yeah. But I stand for the people that we own so much, and also circus industry own so much to this part of the history completely.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Totally.
I want to ask you, kind of changing directions, maybe not really. So there's a lot of pole, there's a lot of dancers, there's a lot of that on social media and other things, but you've really grown. I mean, I try not to ascribe to follower count as a symbol of like someone's talent. But I also can't say that like you just you have grown such a big social media following. And I think that is, I know the work that goes into that. And I just kind of want to ask a bit about the business side of what you do in your work, and how much of that was conscious, how much of that just kind of happened to you, and how maybe because I'm navigating that myself right now, how you kind of, I don't know, like I was on your website today and you're creating not only workshops, but you have products coming out, you have other things. How did you build that part of it?
So my website is not updated. So
nobody's website is ever updated.
and let's be honest, is David, so my husband d'amour, that is a bit like helping me with those because he's a like engineer and he's a bit like a geek on all those things. So the product things is one of his magical ideas that disappear and evaporate. So there is no product coming in terms of like merchandising, and I'm not very good at this, to be very honest. I know so many of my friends in the industry, they were like, Marion, if you don't do a fucking t-shirt with your face on it, I'm gonna do it for you and sell it.
Yeah,
because they're like, people want to have this. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. It's not my thing. Well, I know it's like, I know so many people that would love to, to have a little piece of, I don't know, like, but I also want, every time I was like, I don't want to do something just for doing it. I want to believe in something what I'm doing. And it's the same with, for example, with social media, especially Instagram, because I think I will share about a bit like because I have a Facebook page, but it's very different what is happening in those two pages. So first of all, about the numbers and everything, to be honest, it just happened. Yeah, I didn't like, I don't know. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It just happened. And it shows first how powerful is this community in terms of like in the social media way. We're very connected on the net. But I don't have like those 200 whatever thousand K pole dancer. There is a lot of other people, and sometimes I'm very surprised to see the kind of people that interact with me and connect that have nothing to deal with pole or even like dancing, circus or anything. And this is really cool. This is really cool. In terms of business wise, I don't see, and more, I'm a very bad influencer in that way because, I have brands contacting me and want me to promote this and that. So, it doesn't resonate to me to be.
I might say that makes you a very good influencer, actually.
Okay. Because yeah,
I have this belief that like on Instagram and these kinds of things, it's very easy to get sucked into that. That's why like one of the first things I wrote on my Instagram was that I don't sell leggings. Because I feel like it's really easy. Because I feel like it's really easy to get sucked into, this brand wants to give me money, this is like, and I can because I have all these followers or whatever. But if you don't believe in it, it's kind of like reproducing. Like it can only get you so far. But things have to come from belief.
Yes, and maybe not for us.
Yeah.
Again, it's. I think it's always like that's always what I said to people. Everything I say, it's La Crampe religion. It doesn't mean it's the same religion for everybody, and make your own. So sure. I really, really accept that not everybody gonna at all agree with what we're saying, and this is absolutely fine. This is just like a sharing of an experience. For instance, I have friends that are influencers, and it's first of all, it's a very hard job. It takes a lot to produce in such a big amount of quantity content. It's very tiring, and for me, it just doesn't resonate in the terms of like, because I really like my freedom. So if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And when sometimes like brands accept the way I see the things and like, okay, we go for it, they know. And I tell them, I know you understand. I don't tell them, I hope, because this is the way I think. So that's the way you resonate. We go for it. We don't. That's it. C'est pas grave. There is many other people that will do it. So I have to like the things. I have to find an interest on it if I really go for a promotion. I have a sponsor. I work with a pole brand, Lupit, and they're amazing. And I love the product. And I really, I'm honored to be one of the ambassador. But also and mostly, I absolutely admire the team and every single one of them. They are amazing humans. And for me, this is so important. And this is a part that is important. Today, a woman, a French woman designer, she asked me if I wanted to do a petite collaboration. It's a very petite, tiny brand. And I say, okay, wait, before I discover, I decide, tell me about you. What motivates you? Why are you creating lingerie? Tell me your story. What you want to share? And she was like, wow, I'm surprised. I'm like, why? I don't want to just say, okay, I accept to do your product because you're gonna pay me for it, because I don't work for free products. This is one thing also. This is my rule. Yes. I buy my stuff. So if I need a pair of leggings, I buy them. Yes. And even when the brands are friends, they know. Like I have many brands that are friends of mine. If we do a collaboration, it's a professional collaboration. So they pay me for my work. I do my work. Point. Yes. And if I want to wear their brand, I buy. I buy my product even from my friends. And this is very important for me because I contribute to their business. And and this way, I'm not forced to be hashtag I use this, hashtag I wear Nike, hashtag this is not my way to do the things. But when I want a product and I believe on it, I buy my things. But at the end of the day, I need to also buy my food and organize the rest of my life when I cannot do this job anymore. So also and also the way we are where we are as performer, artist, instructor, or whatever, it takes time. It takes dedication, devotion, body problems, physiotherapist, a good diet that fits you, or therapist for your brain, for your mind. It takes all this. It takes to pay your rent. It takes to rent a studio. And this, you need, unfortunately, or whatever, but this is life, you need money to become where you are, to become who you are. And your free panty not gonna help me for this. It's cute. I like it. But how do I do at the end of the day to pay my quinoa? I need money. And this is this is society. I would love to, but somebody the other day made a question on Instagram. What would you do if it wasn't for money? The same. I would do the same. But life is the society and the way we work now. We need, everything costs. When I take classes online, I pay the same price as everybody. And for this, it's investment. I don't see it as a spending. I invest. But to invest, I need something.
Yes.
So that's Incredible. My way of seeing this. And so also for my social media, especially my Instagram, I don't know if it shows or if it resonates this way, but more and more I feel I want to share more about and use this platform that has become what it is to share about others, because others inspire me so much. And not only to do the same combo or the same movement, in the way they think, the way they feel, the way they... So I like to use this platform to share with others, to share about others. So that's why often I I take an artist and I always ask them if they're okay for me to share on my feed a bit of their work and to share about them, how I resonate about them, and what even if I don't know them personally. I think honestly, Instagram, it's an amazing medium to meet incredible people. I tell you, Shannon, I have met, and I'm sure you too, people that I never met in real life, but we have such a connection, sometimes better than with people that I know in person.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
crazy. I'm sharing like talks with people that I never ever met in real life, and amazing. And we share such like so cool. And finally, with some of them we have met, and it is like, wow. And this is because of the gram. So I think you can use it in a beautiful way. There is tricky things and bad things about it, but there is so good things, so many good things. Voice can be heard, like message can pass. I think it's a powerful thing in the beautiful and a very not beautiful way also, unfortunately. But it's powerful, and I want to use this not to just about me. And sometimes I even feel, I don't know if it happened to you sometimes, because with the podcast you're doing and everything, a bit awkward even to talk about me, you know. But I know also my experience and the way I go through the experience can be inspiring for others.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because it's the best experience I know, because it's mine and it's the one I'm living
That's
in.
it.
You know? I cannot be anywhere else for now.
Wait. Yeah.
So that's the one I kind of like to share with others. But I like to, even when I feel like, for example, posting a picture of a photographer have taken of me, I don't feel it's like, for me, I don't go in the mind of like, look at me, how I'm beautiful. No, it's more like, look at this photographer's work. And I know it helps also when somebody take a picture of, I don't know, somebody that can put an highlight on them. It's a cool way to promote also. So I like to use it this way. I like to think it this way. It's a promotion, not of everyone. And I always love, and if somebody hear me like, you're very free, I'm doing takeover, you can, for if you want to teach or perform or whatever. I had musicians doing it, performers, teachers. I just give my Instagram for a live, and you do whatever you want, like as far as it's not like hurting anyone.
Right.
Like I'm super open to those kind of things. I have done that during the beginning of the lockdown. It was amazing. Like a pianist start to play for 1 hour. I had some people, they teach a class. Yes, I had a woman, she talks about hormones for 1 hour. It was super interesting.
Wow.
So I'm super happy because he helped them to share about what they know how to do, and it can reach a larger audience. Well, it's amazing. And it's like for everyone. It's not for me. I don't search anything else than just share about those people that I know, or that I met, or that I connect with, or that I heard about, and take it, give it to more people.
Yes.
This is how I see social media.
Very cool. Yes, it's social. I always say like it's only
it's social. Yes,
it's only detrimental if you're not interacting with it. Like if you just scroll, look, read, scroll. If you're not typing, if you're not sharing, if you're not interacting with it, like if you're not giving to it and you're just taking from it, that's when it gets exhausting. But I feel like when I'm posting, when I'm talking to people, when I'm, like commenting on other people's posts, that's when I feel like it's the most helpful.
Rewarding. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
But once again, it's very like, because we are very on the same like vibration. And I know some people like to scroll and just, but even sometimes I said to my husband, because he's like, he put a like, I'm like, I know you love me. You don't have to put a like if you don't pay attention to what I'm saying.
Oh,
you
that's
know?
so nice.
Yeah,
Very
because
cute.
I'm like, I don't need a shot of, because he's really like a loving person and we are very like a loving
Yeah.
birds. But like,
Oh,
I don't want you to just like my post because you're my, like, you love me. No, it's like, because I know when you do this and you have no
yeah.
read what I say. And it's the same when you have a conversation with someone and they're not present.
Yeah.
And you know, because you're like, what I was saying? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah, because you were thinking about what's going to happen after and how tasty was your coffee this morning.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So try to be present. When I'm with you right now, I'm like, I feel it. I feel, even because I don't know, the sound is amazing in this platform. I feel like I'm
It's
sitting
really
with you.
good, hey?
Yeah, it's very good. I just miss to be around a table and having a coffee face to face and see your facial expression, you know?
One day. I actually, my dream is once the lockdown is done and Canada is open again and everything, I'm gonna come to France for like probably 3 months or so and work with some
Okay, don't
aerialists
come
over
to
there. And
France. Come to
no,
Spain because I'm in Spain.
I was wondering, your accent is but you're French originally. You're just
So
from
I'm French, but I speak
yeah.
a mix,
Bueno.
a super mix of everything.
Yeah.
So my accent
Es
has
lo
changed, I
mismo
think.
para mí. I speak Spanish. Like I grew up in the U.S. where like you always learn Spanish in school, so I speak Spanish better than my French. But I
Uh-huh.
have to. But now that I live in Montreal, I have to learn French. But it's really hard because every time I go to learn French, I just start speaking Spanish. So
Yeah, okay. But it's
so
okay. You
cool.
know, I
I go
think
to
at the end,
Spain easy. Yeah,
exactly. And we're not far. And yeah, absolutely
no,
welcome.
that's it.
You're very welcome to come here. You have a home here. Yeah. I
Oh,
was actually wanted to ask you, like,
yeah.
how this, like, because I think it's always interesting, how this idea of podcast, like, starts.
Well, I love podcasts myself. Like I'm such I was a podcast kind of enthusiast and I went through a really bad breakup maybe like 3 years ago. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I would do is I came back from, I was in Germany at the time and I came back and I lived with my parents and I didn't know what I wanted to do and I kind of quit circus and I was like, of course I was still training and like doing things, but I wasn't really trying, I wanted to change my life. And so I
Mm-hmm.
started listening to a bunch of podcasts and I would go for these long walks and, just like listen. And I would always be like, I want to have a podcast, but I don't know what I would talk about. I don't know. And then I think someone recommended it to me. Someone was like, you should have a podcast about circus. And I was like, that's kind of silly. And then a friend of mine was like, well, I was thinking about having a podcast, but so I have all the equipment, but I don't really want to do it. And I was like, okay, well, I'll take the equipment, I guess. And so I filmed or I recorded a couple of episodes and put them out and people liked it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I do one a week. I just try and see how it feels. And I just kept doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's kind
it's
of
so
it,
nice.
like
It's no, it's
but I
super
really wanted
nice.
it to be I wanted it to be kind of like a gift to myself. Like I wished that I had a podcast, like when I was walking around and trying to figure out, and I would listen to podcasts about finance or I would listen to podcasts about creativity, but there was nothing. There is one other podcast about circus at the time, and there's more now. But I would listen to it, and I always wanted more or like advice about the circus world. So I kind of say I created it for myself.
Yeah, I think
You
it's
know?
and when you do this way,
Yeah.
then it resonates because it comes from not like it comes from something that you do it. If you do it for yourself, then it just flow to the others because it's so honest with yourself that, of course, then yeah, it reflects. And people like me, I was like, honestly, yeah, I was like, wow, David, like they asked me to do this podcast, and I was super
Of
happy.
course.
I remember listening Mandy because Mandy is a very good friend of mine, Mandy
Oh,
Orozco. Yeah,
yes.
like podcast last year I think it was last year. Yeah, last
Uh-huh.
winter.
Yeah, last January because I was in
Yeah,
Berlin. Yeah.
yeah. Because I was in Bonn. I was performing in Bonn, and I was listening
Okay.
to about her things, and it's always nice because we are friends, but there is things that you don't maybe topics that you don't bring out, and it's super interesting. I always love like podcasts. I could recommend some. We could exchange some podcasts. You love any
Yeah.
kind? You like any kind, like
I
spirituality?
mostly like Yeah. I like all the I just like good ideas. You know, like
Okay.
people who are really thinking good. Like I don't like the podcasts that are just well, actually that's not true. There are some podcasts I like that are just like comedians talking. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's funny and I like to laugh. But I really like oh, what's my favorite podcast right now? There's one called The Accidental Creative, I think it's called.
Okay, I'm gonna check that.
Yeah.
Okay, there is also Leon the Alchemist. I really like. Sometimes his experience, like he stopped speaking for 7 days and explained how it was.
Wow.
Yeah, some kind of things like this. Very cool. Yeah, I will share. I will send to you a couple of things.
Okay, deal. And I will share with you too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. One last question for you. And then I will let you go. But it's the question that I ask everyone. What advice would you give to yourself? And it's kind of like why I started the podcast, right? Like this was the question. Was like I wanted to know from other circus performers or like performers, artists, people, how to live in the world, how to be an artist. So what advice would you give to yourself at the beginning of your career?
I think, I don't know if I would say much. I would just look at myself, this chica, and I would just be like, with a tiny smile and be like, just shaking my head up and down.
It's amazing.
With many things at once, you know, to be like shaking my head up and down, like saying, yes, you're going to do mistakes. Yes, it's going to be like that. Yes, you're going to experience life. Yes, you're going to be okay. But I won't
sound
say,
like you would be very proud of yourself at the beginning of your career.
It was not like I can say that now because I'm okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing the work. I'm okay in terms. I don't say I'm doing okay in terms of like I'm working hard to be centered and everything. But I was like, don't take me wrong. I had my period of freaking lost, freaking out, did mistakes that sometimes cost me things, friends. So I have done. That's why I will be like, just like when you know, I will see myself crying. I will be like, even like tiny smile and be like, yeah, I know, but it's gonna be okay. And yeah, all the experience gonna bring you somewhere, and it's not finished. It's not the end of the journey. And I was, yeah, like I like what my dad said the other day. You know, like I posted about that yesterday. You know, like. Because he had a little problem on his eye, because the doctor said, yeah, I think you went too much to the mountain all your life, pushing your body, doing this, doing that. And you know what my dad say? He say, you know what? If this is the price, I have no regret. Wow. Absolutely no regret. And I was like, you know what? Every time life's gonna, that's what I wrote the other day. Every time life's gonna make me pay something, because we're gonna pay something, because we're pushing our body, our mind. So at some point there is an invoice, you know, coming. But at the end, you know, like we're gonna have pain. We're gonna, sometimes the things won't go the way we want. But this is the price. If this is the price, I will remember. No regret. No regret. Yeah.
Incredible. Marion, thank you so much for this interview. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was amazing. And you have a beautiful voice. You should think about maybe doing, I don't know, like some speech or meditation. Very much.
Oh, thank you. Maybe I'll make a meditation app.
Yeah,
Breathe
I think.
slowly.
Yeah. You have a very like very elegant, sensual, like calming voice. I would think about it if I was you.
Yeah, that's a good thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit stop recording. That was my interview with Marion Crampe. And it was such a pleasure to have Marion on this show. I think we both agreed at the end of it. It was kind of like sitting and having coffee with a friend. I feel like the moment the borders open again and I can get out of Canada and onto a plane, it will be to wherever Marion is so we can have that coffee in person. Thank you again, Marion. If this is your first episode of the Artist Athlete podcast and you are of the pole dance persuasion, I recommend you go and listen to episode 76 with my good friend Rachel Hunt. She was a circus performer who found pole, but Marion is the first person I've had on the show who started with pole and then transitioned in and out and kind of saw the amorphous movement vocabulary that pole was as circus and its own thing. And I love that. I love that exploration. I was very intentional when I named my company and I named this podcast The Artist Athlete because I wanted to explore movers of all sorts and see what we had in common and what our differences were. And I think a lot of them were explored today, how we see art, how we see competition, how we see each other online. And without going into too much detail about it, I think that aerialists could learn a lot from, and maybe circus performers in general, could learn a lot from the pole world. So thank you, Marion, for sharing your story and your world with all of us. For more from Marion Crampe, you can follow her on Instagram. You probably already do. But in case you don't, she's just Marion Crampe. And I know I'm sounding very fancy as I'm pronouncing her name oh so proper because I've been working on my French. MarionCrampe. For aerial training tips and inspiration, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at _artist_athlete. I'm on Facebook, The Artist Athlete. My website, which is pretty awesome, is theartistathlete.com. And if you love what you're listening to, you want to support this happening each and every week as it has for the past 3 years, go to patreon.com/theartistathlete. And if you're a baller on a budget, you don't have a lot of coin right now, I get it, artist in a pandemic, it's hard times. But it doesn't cost anything to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And please share it. Tell a friend when you're on your Zoom call. Post it on Instagram. If you like what you're listening to, let the world know. I will talk at you next week, friends, fans, and foes. The Artist Athlete podcast is supported solely by donations from people like you. Here's what some of those people have to say.
Hi, my name is Noah and I do hand balancing. Hi, my name is Woody and I do Leo. Thank you for listening to the Artist Athlete podcast.
Hi, I'm Freya. You can hear my whole story in episode 50 of the Artist Athlete podcast, but I'm here to tell you about something else that I do. I'm a qualified health and nutrition coach. I help people with sleep and body confidence, among other things. You can see everything I have to offer at wildguidance.com or follow me on Instagram at wildguidance.
Hi everyone, I'm Dominique, a ground acrobat, trapeze artist, and coach, currently bringing circus to the extremely cold but very beautiful Northern Ontario, Canada. Circus has changed my life and I'm so grateful to everyone in this community. Find me on Instagram at DomUpsideDown or my website domupsidedown.com.
Aloha! My name is Beth Russell, and I live on the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. I am an aerial artist and movement instructor specializing in chakra yoga to keep me balanced and grounded. I play with silks, trapeze, lyra, rope, acro, aerial yoga and dance, slacklining, pole, bungee, and climbing. Really anything that goes up and allows me to explore 3D space. You can find my dedicated aerial page on Instagram at Maui Aerialist. If you find yourself coming to Maui, let's play.
Hey there, friends, fans, and enemies. This is Chris Alston, Patreon of the Artist Athlete podcast. straps artist and lyra performer, and acrobat out of Greenville, South Carolina. So if you're ever passing through, make sure to stop in and see me and my friends. We have a wonderful space, and we'd love to see you.
Hi, my name is Erica Lee. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm an aerialist. I teach performing arts to elementary school during the day and do pole and sling and rope by night. I really, really like the Artist Athlete podcast because it gives me a lot of circus goals to look forward to. It gives me a lot of insight on what's going on around the world in circus, and that's why I'm Patreon.
Hello all. Thank you for tuning in to the Artist Athlete podcast. I am Opal Schwartz from Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're ever in the cities, feel free to stop by the Aviary Minneapolis. It's a great time. With that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and goodbye.
Hey there, artists and athletes. This is Andy Smith, owner and artistic director at Saltaire Circus School in Jacksonville Beach, Florida. And I want to thank you for contributing to the Artist Athlete podcast. If you ever find yourself down in Florida, come check us out. Whether you're an artist, athlete, or someone ordinary just looking to be extraordinary, we got a place for you.